that tether provides the power and stuff like that as well.
Okay.
Yeah, it's like a shock absorber and an eye in the sky sort of combo.
Oh, I'm not spinning.
Sorry, just went to a bad 80s song when you said eye in the sky.
Oh.
Okay, great. And so I have another question here for, I think this one is more directed towards Rob. So we have an aspiring geologist on the chat today, and they're curious as to what the rock sampling is that you, what are you going to do with our, the rock samples that you're collecting?
Well, we're collecting, most of the rocks that we have so far are basalts. So they're extrusive lavas that have come in from seamounts. And some of these may even be from mid-ocean ridge.
Okay.
And what we want to do is take them, and we have a geochemist and a geochronologist, someone who dates the rocks
Oh.
on board. That's what Kevin's is very good at. That's his skill set. So he's able
Nice.
to tell the geochemistry, so he can tell probably what the origin of this rock is.
Wow.
And as a bonus, if the quality of the minerals are good enough, he can actually provide an age of the eruption.
Cool. That's incredible.
And what's important? What's the second part of his sentence? It's probably the most important. What's the second part of his question?
So is really relating to what are you going to do with the rock samples?
No, you had it highlighted before.
Oh, he was just, whomever is making this comment was just really enjoying the banter and the science chatter that we've been having here during our watch. So thank you, Rhiann, for chiming in there. And then,
Didn't say anything about enjoying the jokes, though.
haven't had any jokes yet. So here's just an out of curiosity question. Is there a simulator of the ROV that is available for the general public? I wonder. Like as if you could drive along with the ROV pilots? I'm not sure.
Sim ROV?
What?
It's like Sim
Like
City here.
simulation.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, the simulation.
I don't know if there's anything specific for us, but I know there's sim ROVs out there.
Oh,
Oh,
cool.
I mean,
cool.
you can get sim anything. I know there's sim truck driver.
Ooh, really?
Yeah, they have the different DLCs. You got Idaho, and then you go through different areas. Like, it's a whole thing. It's a whole thing.
Thank you,
That's some
Michael.
bonus rock samples there.
Hey. And then some other questions here that are coming into the chat is that, do you ever take audio recordings? And if so, what sounds are down at that depth? Good question. Anybody?
So we wouldn't take them from the ROV because the ROV makes a lot of noise on its own.
Okay.
But hydrophones there's a number of them that are positioned in the deep sea recording noises, and there's a lot of noise down there. We think a lot of it is coming from fish, which they're using to signal with each other. They have these like swim bladders that they have muscles that strum against them.
Okay.
But one challenge is that you can hear these sounds and you know what fish are down there, but it's really hard to match what fish is making what sound. So that's a major challenge right now, but there's a lot of work on that right now.
I was just going to ask, like, over time, just over listening and kind of getting familiar with, are you able to tie the fish to the sound at all?
I don't know.
Just recognizing it repeatedly. Oh, that's an interesting study.
Yeah, I don't know how they're going to figure that out.
Oh, I look forward to it.
You also, of course, will hear a lot of marine mammals.
That's
whales,
what I was
dolphins,
wondering too,
they make a lot of noise.
And they probably already have those keyed to those sounds.
Those we know who's making them.
That could be helpful as to differentiate. Oh, cool. Thank you.
We've also put hydrophones down for to listen to methane seeps, the bubblings.
Oh, wow.
You can hear different rates of bubbles.
Oh.
Bloop, bloop, bloop. Bloop, 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 bloop.
So let's see here. So moving on, somebody is just curious as to what the Niskins are, and I do believe you did spell Niskins correctly.
Oh, so the Niskins, those are how we sample water. We call them Niskin bottles. Basically, it's a tube with caps on both ends that are open, And so there's water continuously flowing through it. And then at the moment that you want to capture that water and sample it, you saw that they were pulling on those kind of colored loops, and that snaps both ends shut. And so now as we go up, that water is going to stay in the bottle until it comes to the surface and we sample it.
Right, and then those caps prevent additional water from getting into the Nixon, so you have a clean sample?
Yes.
Cool. And then I have another one for you, Liz.
Okay.
Is it fun to dissect the animals you bring up?
I think it's very fun. I have a lot of fun with it. It can be challenging.
Sure.
But especially when you're on a moving vessel, things are rolling around sometimes.
With sea cucumbers even.
Yeah, but I enjoy it.
Awesome. Thank you, Liz. And then currently right now, our ROV is at a depth of 3,206 meters. And we're actually we're going to be starting our ascent here pretty soon. Or have we already started it? We have already started our ascent.
We've already started. We're already on way up.
Wow, we're so fast. And then, so I do have some pilot questions
180,
here.
that's 3 hours.
So whenever you're ready, let me know.
3 hours.
Oh, it's going to take 3 hours to get to the top?
Approximately.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, and someone missed Rennie in the van. They're happy to have you here, Rennie.
Who's that? Who?
I don't
They know.
Who
They
It says, hey, Rennie.
who from this room just wrote into the chat?
Not me.
Wow, that was a pretty hard not me.
I just read the chat. Okay, so then for the pilots, or really anyone, I think this really kind of puts out there is, and we get this question a lot, but I think it's really awesome to share again. What type of training did you guys do, or how do you get involved with working with ROVs? Do they have classes? Is it the same as airplanes, or do you just learn on the job? Thank you, Bella. Mahalo for asking, Bella.
Yeah, I think there's not necessarily a straight path to kind of becoming involved in ROV technology. I mean, a lot of times, I think these days probably a good path is in a type of engineering that you're interested in. So it could be a variety of disciplines there: mechanical engineering, electrical engineering, computer science as well, that kind of thing. Because if you can bring kind of that technical skill to the group, then a lot of times in the science industry anyway, the piloting is kind of on the job. You kind of get taught that side of it. But a lot of it is your technical skill and understanding the technology and how to keep it running, troubleshooting, so bring those kind of skills to the table, and then the piloting can be kind of learned on the job. But several of us in the kind of science side of ROVs take odd paths. I know mine was a little different as well. So there's not necessarily, there are schools you can go to, so you can go to a school and you'll learn, some piloting, you learn about the technology, communication, how things kind of work, get some hydraulic background, sometimes electrical background, how to read schematics, things like that. And then again, you can usually you get a little bit of piloting in those schools, but really not enough to just step in. You need to get a lot more practice in the field.
So that's more like the hands-on training part is just really coming in to do the job, to get a sense of how to drive the ROVs.
Yeah, that's
but all
right.
the other background helps with that. Okay, cool. That's a very good question. So I think we're a little bit perplexed about that as well, but I'm going to hand this one to Liz again. Mahalo, Liz, for always taking our questions. But why do the scientists think there's so much snow here compared to the last several dives?
Yeah, so we really don't know. We've been discussing, this wasn't necessarily something we expected to find. What I'm thinking is that this is a kind of short and temporary event. Of what we would call a mass deposition or a high flux event, where basically for some reason, possibly due to an upwelling, there were more nutrients in surface waters, and there was a big bloom of plankton.
Okay.
That could be, so phytoplankton that would be.
Okay.
And then other animals are taking advantage of that, where we actually took some samples of the detritus in the water, and we're going to look at it and try to figure out what it is.
Cool.
Kind of the prevailing thought right now is that it's something called a foraminifera, which is actually a single-celled organism that houses a lot of phytoplankton within it or
Okay.
attached to it.
Okay.
And that is all sinking at once, but at this point that's just a hypothesis.
Sure.
And if that is the case, we don't know what conditions would have occurred to create this big bloom.
Okay.
But it's really cool to see. I mean, it's always fun when you see something you don't expect and you kind of have to puzzle out like, oh, what's happening and why?
Yeah, and I think this one has been one since we started the dive, and now completing it, it's just been a constant presence of the snow.
Yes, this is absolutely, there's a big event going on here. And as I said, I don't think that this is typical for this area. If it was, I think we would have seen denser communities of animals down there.
Right, that was a good point you made earlier.
Yeah.
Which I think, I didn't think about that until you brought it up. Like it would make more sense given if there was always an abundant food source here that we would have more organisms feeding off of these, off of the snow. Oh, interesting. Cool. Oh, so we just have a shout out from Seattle Aquarium. They love pulling our streams and clips when they're volunteering, and they show that to other volunteers.
Hi, Seattle Aquarium. I was a teen volunteer back in the day.
Cool.
When I was in high
the
school.
Connections. Awesome.
That was my first kind of experience with outreach and communication about the ocean. It was really fun.
Oh, awesome.
Also from Seattle, also spent a lot of time going to the aquarium.
Yeah.
Wow, cool.
I love aquariums.
Beautiful. And so someone else just sent us a shout out. They just want to say thank you for streaming this. It really helps them. It makes them extremely calm, and it's incredibly fascinating for them. So mahalo for sharing that. So just in regards to some of the things that you're seeing that we're dropping here, and I'll have some of the pilots point those out, but those are weights that we take off of Hercules as we ascend. And pilots, please correct me if I'm wrong there, but that is what I believe we are dropping. Is that correct?
Yeah, they're just little pieces of steel that we leave behind in order to bring up all the samples, and especially the rocks. They're quite heavy, so we have to leave. We have to leave those things behind.
Okay. Thank you.
Why am I all of a sudden getting a ground fault?
I don't know what the largest creature would be at this depth, but Liz or anyone, Taylor, would you guys have an idea of what kind of creatures we'd see, the largest ones at this depth? You're pretty deep.
If you see a whale, well, do you know if sperm whales go this deep?
I'm not sure how deep we saw it, that one dive where we did catch it. I'm not too sure how deep they can go, actually.
Yeah.
That's a great question, but we can look it up.
Interesting, right?
What we're more likely to see that's large is something like a siphonophore or a pyrosome, which are colonial animals, colonial jellyfish, that can form very long chains.
And that was what we were looking at earlier. Okay,
Yeah.
thank you guys. We are currently ascending right now. So our current depth is, we have a look-see here, 22,964 meters. So it's looking like we've got a few hours of blue water that we're going to experience. But what's exciting about this particular ascension is that we do have a lot of marine snow here in the water column. That's pretty captivating to look at and interesting to see what's going on in this snow here.
It says the deepest recorded depth from a dive of a sperm whale was 2,992 meters, according to nmh.ac.uk on Google.
Okay. And are sperm whales the deepest divers of the whale community?
No.
Oh.
Oh, sorry, I'm not a mammal person.
I'm also not.
Well, I am a mammal, but...
Thank you for the clarity. You are a mammal.
More things for you to fix?
I wonder, yeah. Thank you. That was just my inquiry.
Oh, no, there's a deeper one.
Yeah.
Cuvier's
yeah, Cuvier's
beaked
beaked
whale.
whale.
It turned yellow
Wow.
when
Looks like
Kylie
sperm
was
whales are the
piloting
second deepest
that
diving.
time.
Okay. Thank you.
I think it was one of the ground fault ones.
And
Oh,
there
yeah.
are Cuviers in these waters, by the way.
I
What
think
is
that's
it?
the
I
a
think-
beaked whale,
I
the
think we have
skeleton that we
those.
collected.
Right,
Yeah,
yeah.
so
Oh,
that would
cool.
make sense. But that was a
Okay.
different location.
Okay, cool.
So I think in regards to the ROV ever bumping or being nudged around by a large sea creature, we do have some really awesome imagery of, it was a sperm whale that was bumping the ROV that we got that really awesome footage of, right? Yeah. Have we captured any footage of other large creatures bumping or hitting the ROV, sharks? I think the whale was the biggest, coolest, exciting
I think
image.
so.
That was
That's
really
yeah,
captivating.
I
yeah.
don't know that it ever actually touched the ROVs.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Oh,
it
okay.
just came really
Yeah.
close.
Oh, okay.
Who was the pilot for that dive? Was that you?
No, I wasn't on board. I think it might have been, who was that piloting at that time? I can't remember. No, it was someone hasn't been out in a little while.
Whoa.
Lucky them.
I'm not exactly sure what our turnaround time is for the next dive in the ROV, but we will definitely provide that information for you on our website once we have that information. And somebody just said that they love the Cuvier's beaked whales. Thank you for sharing.
What's that? I just tested it again, but I'll leave the Doppler off.
If anyone's curious of the entire route that we went on, I put it up on the screen. You're cold? He's joining the club.
I thought it was kind of warm in here.
No, yeah, I'm not cold now, actually. But again, you're wearing shorts, t-shirt. I got pants and a fleece and a vest.
Oh.
Yeah, to each their own.
Yeah, I can feel
It
that.
makes me feel
Definitely
better.
feel that, yeah.
Are you hot? Are you hot?
No.
Okay, good.
I'm quite comfortable.
I'm good now, too.
Yeah.
Thank you. Mm.
I just put the lateral on, so I'm going a little faster now, 21.
What does that mean? That's terrible. That's too cold. Gotta go like 70 at least.
Okay, so we have a question from Bob from Burbank, California. And the question is, if you could change one thing about your station's interface, what would it be and why? Thanks for the answers, Bobby from Burbank, California.
Touchscreen on Argus.
So that is open to anyone who would like to answer that question.
I think it's a pretty awesome setup. One thing that's great is we have an ability to draw on a screen and it projects it up in front of the pilots, so you can point out something that you want, which is a feature I haven't seen in other setups, and I really like.
Yeah, that one's a good setup. I like that.
We've been trying for years to get a telestrator out on a system for oceanography, and everybody was like, why? Why would you do that? We just point at it, you know, and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, in the past I've just used laser pointers, which I think is probably more annoying for them. And it's also not as visible.
Yeah, but
I could imagine that you get dizzy
we
if
like to
you're
take
using
technology
the, you know,
from
it's
television
the movement.
production, which is our background, the three of us that designed the van and the video system. And we finally convinced OET to give it a shot. Let's try the telestrator. Everybody loves it.
It's
Everybody
great.
loves the telestrator.
So that's what the telestrator is that stylus that you can circle and indicate things on the screen.
It's,
Okay,
it's
great.
the same exact model that they use on Monday Night Football, most live sports, all that kind of stuff.
Wow.
Same one.
Oh, no wonder people are so curious about, they keep asking to see the telestrator.
I don't think we're as good with it as the sports commentators are.
Okay, and another question for all of you as we ascend. What is the most unexpected thing all of you have seen on a deep sea dive?
I don't know if it's the most unexpected, but this marine snow is that was a surprise.
Yeah, I'd have to say for this particular dive, that was an unexpected sighting. Anyone else?
I like some of the different rock formations, like the ones on that peak were really cool, and then the riverbed from yesterday, the day before, and stuff like that. And like I try and imagine if I saw it, on land, how dramatic it would be, and then it kind of puts you in the place and how cool it actually is.
Yeah, I'd have to say on this side, the rock formations have been really captivating. And all of those nodule rivers, those are really attractive to me. I really like seeing those. And all of the dives they've seen.
They're just so perfectly made.
Right.
You know?
Okay. Thank you, everyone, for sharing your thoughts. Okay. Moving right along.
I can't believe we got that coral, that sponge.
Oh.
Yeah, those are
that looks awesome.
I'm still mad about the cucumber, though.
You grabbed it so perfectly, too.
It was a good grab, yeah.
It was the current.
Okay, so I have a few questions here. First, I think I'm going to direct this one towards Dave because I think he could best answer it. What do you mean when you say you're in a van?
We are in 3 shipping containers. They're connexes. They're the 9-foot tall ones, like you would see on the backs of trucks or on railroad cars. They've been specially modified. There are 3 of them that are put together. There are archways cut in between them, so it is. We call it the van colloquially. It's actually 3 shipping containers put together.
Thank you, Dave.
Sure.
It is a really nice setup in here too.
Oh,
very comfortable. And then I think for all of us, we could probably all answer this. What's your favorite thing to do? What's your favorite thing on board to do in your downtime?
Sleep.
Really?
Stargazing last night was pretty good.
Can you see like any of them? I can't see any of them because of the
I
lights.
would have to say
Stars?
sleep is
I mean,
my favorite
we saw
thing.
the Milky Way and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, we did see the Milky Way last night.
Like it wasn't, pitch black outside, but it was black enough.
And all of the planets were in line, right, Emma?
Yeah, that was
That was really cool.
What does that mean?
They were
for
like
astrology.
all of the planets were just like in a line in the sky.
Yeah, it was like almost like an arc.
It's like I think that means that Mercury was in Gatorade or something.
Oh, there's Gatorade up there?
Exactly. Yeah.
Gatorade.
I didn't know what was happening. I just saw 3 planets in a row, and then I took my phone, and they were all.
Yeah, she was
Cool.
really.
Which planets were they?
It was.
I saw Venus,
Probably Jupiter.
Jupiter,
Venus, Saturn, Venus,
Saturn,
Mars, and Pluto were all, and
My
Neptune
guess.
were all in a line.
Not Pluto.
Not Pluto. You wouldn't
No,
see
okay,
Pluto.
Pluto's a planet, all right?
No, but you can't see it.
No, you can see it. I can see all of them because some of them were beneath the horizon.
Oh, okay.
But then I took out my phone and did the sky app.
Got it.
So I could see like 3 of them.
Cool.
Yeah, I saw a bunch this morning when I got up before it got light.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
You got up that early?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
He was up all night.
No, I wasn't.
Just so excited about the rocks.
Yeah. No, I mean, because when I went to, I tried to look at it before I went to bed
Yeah.
last night, and they weren't really where I wanted to see them.
Yeah.
The Earth hadn't turned to them completely, but then this morning they were perfect.
Oh, nice.
But last night I did see the Southern Cross on the horizon, so that was cool.
Oh.
You did?
Yeah.
Wow. Where do you go take a view of all that? Do you go to the upper deck there?
Well, yeah, I go up on actually on the deck we're on here,
Mm.
and but I get out of the ambient
Oh, yeah.
light as much as I can.
Yeah, Emma took me to a nice spot to sit down and just look up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I realized how long it's been since I actually took the time to look at the stars.
And we each saw a shooting star.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
The same one?
No.
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 We each got our own, okay?
Yeah. Which is actually cooler.
Well, I was just worried if you had to share the wish,
No.
but now you got your own wish.
Yeah.
Okay.
2 full wishes.
2 full wishes.
Don't ask me what I wish for though, otherwise it won't come true.
Mm-hmm. No, no, no.
Well, no.
So I think the overall consensus for what we like to do on our downtime is sleep.
Yeah.
But
Or look at the stars.
Yeah, or procrastinate sleeping by stargazing.
Mm-hmm.
Or vice versa.
sorry you didn't get your
Although
wish.
there were some Mario Kart tournaments going on.
Yeah, there was some action last night with the Mario games. That was fun.
Yeah, sorry, Emma, you didn't get your wish. I'm still here.
How did you know?
Oh. So the question that just got posed, is there a chef on board or is everyone responsible for their own meals? So we are super blessed to have an awesome kitchen crew that feeds us so well.
Mm-hmm.
And they do let us eat in between meals too.
We got cake 30 in the afternoon.
Yes, we do.
Right, oh, cake
I like our angel
30
food cake.
Best time of day.
and cookies.
Just sometimes replaced by cookie.
Yes.
Cookie
It's
30.
that cake we had yesterday with the caramel on top.
Oh,
That was delicious, and the
dangerous.
walnuts.
It was.
It was horrible. I think I had 2.
I had like 3.
You did.
The cookies are the most dangerous,
I would still
I
eat
think.
more as well.
Yeah.
Some of the
Just
birthday
eating 'em.
cakes they make are a sight to behold.
Well, and especially when the cookies first come out. Oh my goodness.
Unfortunately, all the cake was gone by the time I got to it.
I was, yeah,
no,
there was a
but I just
lot.
want to make you feel guilty.
Hey.
I'm like, dang, I'm sorry, I had 3 pieces.
She's like, I only had the first 3. But that it did go pretty fast last night. I was seeing that go. So yeah, we are super blessed with an awesome team of chefs that make us food. Thank you for asking, and now I'm getting hungry.
Well, it's lunch now.
I'm always hungry though, I think, you know.
This watch always makes me hungry because we always talk about food.
Will we go in?
Well, towards the end.
I mean, or we start comparing the sea animals to food. That does not make me as hungry.
Well, we kind of are blessed because we go in eating breakfast and then come out to lunch.
I know.
No. And we're making somebody else hungry in our chat here as we're talking about food. We can talk about cheese. You guys want to talk about cheese?
Oh my God. And Liz, are you going to make pre-watch paninis for us? Grilled cheese
Oh,
sandwiches?
Yeah, I'm gonna start taking orders.
Yeah, that smelled great. That grilled
Was
cheese
that
you
what
made.
was you were making?
I
last
made a
night?
grilled cheese last night, and
Okay.
everyone had something to say about it.
Well, Michael made one the night before, and I was like, dang, that
Well,
smells really good.
I'm going to make one every night.
Yeah, I'm like going to have to join him
I
on the
like
grilled
midnight
cheese
oatmeal.
action.
Man, I can't join in on
Michael,
the
you
fun.
going to share your special touch for?
No, I can't do that.
Then you're going to have to make us all grilled cheese, okay?
Okay, so what you do?
Yes, I'm down for the paninis and the grilled cheese sandwiches. And somebody was busting out orange juice. Like nice fresh orange juice the other
I
day.
have yet to make it. Has
Every
anyone?
Yeah, I haven't
morning?
used the machine. I'm a little
Every
afraid of
morning?
it.
What? I heard it was kind of,
Yeah, it looks
little bit
scary.
aggressive.
Oh, it's not. It's not. Like, you can stop it with your finger. Like,
Oh,
it's not very powerful at all.
Oh, so you can make us orange juice too, Michael?
Okay,
Orange juice and grilled cheese.
So what you do is,
No, I don't know how. I want you to make it for me.
but no, the rotor is like very, it's not strong at all.
Very good. But you have to have good balance, right? Like making the juice.
I mean, you don't have to pick up the machine and then do it. You just gotta put it there.
Okay, I don't know how to answer this question. But if we've ever find a sunken treasure, whose property is it?
That's a great
It's
question.
mine.
It probably has to deal with what
Belongs to me.
territories that we're
Just
in.
kidding.
We'd have to notify whoever.
The government
Zivan is
affiliated.
would be-
Oh, there you go.
Well, if it's within the monument frame, it probably belong to the monument. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I think there's a litigation going on right now about a galleon that went down that I think Spain is claiming it's theirs.
Yeah, I think
Oh.
it's
Where
did it
whatever
go down?
ship it is.
Off of Florida, I think, or in the Caribbean.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that's right.
And the finders say it's theirs, but I think
Yeah.
Spain's going to win.
I think, yeah, that would be kind of default, right?
I'm sure a deal could be made.
Yeah. I mean, they probably spent so much money looking for
They're
it.
going to have to
Yeah.
give him some OJ and grilled cheese.
Well, yeah, I think it would have to be something along the lines of like, when do they lose claim?
Yeah.
And I think it's going to change how they classify as lost. Because once something is lost, they have lost claim, right? So I think
Oh.
Interesting.
they're still trying to do it on that grounds.
Interesting. Good question.
I really
yeah.
want to know who else keeps thinking about Finding Nemo every time you're on watch.
All the time.
All the time.
Especially when
Yes.
those squids were inking.
Right now, yes. I'm in the moment of just keep swimming, just keep swimming.
When the cucumber flew away, I couldn't stop thinking about the tank is clean and we are getting out of here.
Is that when they go down the toilet?
It's when they're trying to escape and they make they block the filter and it gets all dirty and then they wake up in the morning and they're like, the tank is
The
clean.
tank is clean.
Oh,
That's
no.
right. I think we have to watch Finding Nemo at least once while on the expedition. And somebody's curious when the next polar ice expedition will be. Good question. I'm not too sure, but people have been talking about it, huh?
Not on this boat, I don't think.
Oh, well, I thought Drew was going on some expedition.
Oh, maybe I would be on a different ship.
Oh, okay. So we are not sure.
You know that Healy is a joint boat between Coast Guard and scientists and they can go on there and study the ice.
So based on our grilled cheese and OJ talk, we have made folks very thirsty and hungry. Oh, now they're making grilled cheese. There goes my diet. Hey,
All right,
you
so
could
the
be
thing
on
what
a
you do
seafood
is,
diet. And have we ever found anything, a treasure-like, that isn't organic or geological composition?
oh, that was a good little caveat at the end there. Not to offend anybody. Everything we take up is a treasure.
There you go.
I don't know. I don't think so. I mean, I haven't.
Yeah. Well, I know we always get questions of if we've ever found shipwrecks. Like, that would be quite a treasure, but like you said, Michael, everything is a treasure that we bring up. Wow, we're moving right along. We are at 2,532 meters. And our oxygen saturation is about 20. Our temp is still staying the same at 1.76 degrees Celsius. And we have a consistent salinity at 34.6 PSU. Moving right along.
There goes the greased cable.
darker.
Looks new.
So much of a mess it makes down there.
Oh, I didn't think about that.
Well, I'll be down there in the next couple of weeks.
I didn't think about that at all.
Yep.
That's not a good way to spend your birthday.
When's your birthday?
On the 14th.
Oh, yeah, that's sweet. Perfect.
Yeah. Well, yay,
Happy
me.
birthday. Go down there.
It's starting to get grody too.
Yeah, it's getting a little...
Luckily, it's like dry and crusted.
Put some fresh on top there.
We have really triggered a food conversation on the chat. We got somebody eating potato salad.
Ugh.
Somebody, they're too lazy to make grilled cheese, so they just went with cheese sticks instead.
Cheese sticks. Wow.
Hey, you can get like the cheddar ones now, the fancy cheese sticks.
What are you talking about? What
Hey.
cheese sticks? Like, just a stick of cheese?
Mhm.
I heard cheese
Or
sticks,
there's
and I'm
the cheese
thinking like...
squares you can get now that are like cheese sticks.
Like
That's
grilled
what-
cheese squares, or like, no wait, not grilled cheese
Oh,
squares.
like the little Tillamook little stick pats.
Oh,
You just
yeah.
kinda rip them open. A square. Gotcha.
You can have fried cheese, grilled cheese, cottage cheese.
Oh my gosh. Now I really want cheese, man. If anyone from home, from me is watching, they know that I can eat some
You
cheese.
can eat you some cheese, me too. Mozzarella cheese.
Broken again.
So
Cheese curds.
You gotta some
cheese
Oh,
curry.
more robust
Oh my
squeaky
gosh.
cheese curds.
I think so.
That's super yummy. It's like a really delicious Indian dish.
high intensity
It's like
fidgeting.
fried cheese with curry. What is it called? Do you know?
Paneer-
called
the
sag-
Paneer is the
right?
cheese.
Sag paneer.
So good.
Yeah.
Those are so delicious.
I make a version of that, but I
So
use
sad.
feta instead of paneer.
Really?
So it's
This
like
looks
feta
pretty
and
intense,
spinach.
Oh.
It's pretty good.
You're gonna have to make it for us for your incoming house.
Alligators.
I
We got a call from Gordon Ramsay. He's asking for his cooking show back.
They did it again. Oh boy. That scares me every time.
I'm actually a big poutine fan. I'm not sure if Josh
Oh,
is.
yeah.
Yeah, I've never really... I mean, I'm okay with it. I've just never really been a huge fan. I know some people love it, but...
Of cheese?
Yeah. If I go to a restaurant, I love having gravy for my fries, and everybody, when I do that, they ask me if I'm Canadian.
You know what? I'm horrible. I do mayonnaise and Tabasco. It's terrible, but I love it.
That's basically a chipotle.
Yeah.
With a little bit of
Like an
ketchup on
aioli.
the side. Ooh, yeah.
That's basically what that is.
For real? That's all the aioli is Tabasco and mayonnaise?
Like, not Tabasco, but like spicy stuff and mayonnaise,
okay.
yeah.
It's like Thousand Island dressing.
Yeah. In Puerto Rico, is it like the ketchup mayo?
Yeah, with tostones.
Yeah,
Oh,
What is
tostones.
tostones?
Plantain. Explain tostones to her.
Yeah, what's
Oh, yeah,
this?
yeah, you just fry plantain twice. You,
Oh,
you fry it as a
like-
chunk, then you flatten it, you fry it again. And it's really,
Dang.
it's like a giant plantain chip.
Chip,
Oh, I want one of those. Here we go.
Have you ever had mofongo?
Man, this is the food watch now.
Yeah, I make a mean mofongo.
I think
Yeah.
we're gonna
Oh,
make
what
a
is a
network
mofongo?
channel.
Oh,
Only
no.
18 minutes to lunch.
We're going to have a cheese
Mofongo?
party when
That's
we
when you
get
can't
back.
find your phone.
Oh, boy.
Good. That was good.
Let's see, mofongo is fried plantain, but then mashed with chicharrones, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
you can use chicharron and you add a little garlic in there, some olive oil, and
Dang.
yeah.
What about
and,
You said
trifongo?
chicharrones.
and then you throw it, and then you bake it after you fry it, mash it, then you bake it. Yeah.
What about
chicharron.
trifongo too? What's that? Trifongo? Is that with the yuca?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. With yuca.
Yeah.
Where did you have that?
Puerto Rico?
Oh yeah.
Ooh.
I can go for some chicharron now.
Yeah.
Right? He said chicharron. I was like, oh, dang. Nobody brought the chicharrons on the boat. Yummy. So we've got goldfish crackers in the chat. Somebody's favorite cheese is pepper jack. And someone else used to eat ice cream, but everybody thought it was cottage cheese when she was in school.
I read an article the other week about the maggot Italian cheese.
What? Yeah, we were talking about that. Would you eat ice cream made from maggots?
No, cheese or ice cream?
Was it cheese?
No, it was ice cream.
No.
It was cheese.
I wouldn't eat anything made from
It
maggots.
was cheese.
Don't tell me that. I mean, I would eat it if you didn't tell me, but just don't tell me that.
I don't know. I mean, cheese is made from microbes.
Yeah.
You know,
But
I'll try those things
maggots?
once.
Yeah, cheese is mold.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd probably eat it.
But
There's a whole cheese that is like covered in mold in rind. Yeah.
Well, in blue cheese, they like inject more mold into it.
Really? It's for color?
No,
yeah, I don't
flavor.
like blue
Oh,
cheese.
the flavor.
It's gross.
Ow.
Well, we found a cheese you don't like?
I like blue cheese.
Oh, you do like blue
no,
cheese.
Tyler Ann. She's not a
Taylor.
fan.
Oh, okay.
I'm not a big fan of blue cheese either. I don't get the appeal.
I like it on my salad.
I don't mind. Yeah, I don't mind the crumbles when it's like dry and stuff like that.
I don't think I would eat it like just blue cheese all the way. It'd have to be something.
How about Limburger? Are you done with that?
Oh, that kind of is stinky.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
I
moldy.
need a clothespin on my nose to eat the cheese.
Me yellow like cheese. Come on, you know yellow
I think we
man.
do know everyone's favorite cheese now.
Right? Yes, I do. Oh my gosh, you busted it too. Oh, that was a good one. Who likes bugs?
I haven't tried any of the, but I've been wanting to try like the chocolate grasshopper ones that people have.
Really?
Yeah, I hear those are pretty good. They're like chips.
I was surprised that people eat cockroaches. Is that true?
Yeah, the
Do
big
they?
ones.
Like beetle
Yeah,
bugs?
like
Yeah,
the big
like-
ones. Yeah.
There's like crickets that are
B-52s?
like you put on like tacos and stuff.
I've
Those,
eaten
Yeah,
like,
I've
beetle
seen- yeah,
crickets
I've
and stuff,
seen those,
are
yeah.
good.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, when people say like roaches, they think like the ones that they associate with like in like dirty houses and stuff like that.
Right?
Or
What's
like,
it?
but it's usually like the ones you see out in the wild, where it's like big ones that they usually get, which don't look like the ones that
Let's
they
go
look
back
more
to
like
cheese
regular.
now. Let's talk about cheese again.
Well, yeah, they have them with cheese. They have them with cheese. But I haven't tried any of those. I wouldn't put it past myself to try it. I mean, people eat it, so it has to be good. Well, it doesn't have to be good, but
Right, like
they'll make it good.
chocolate-covered ants.
That
That's a
sounds
big
good.
thing.
Yeah.
I've accidentally eaten ants before.
Were they,
They're
you know, like we
they're
have
spicy.
fire. Oh, boy. I was just gonna ask because we have fire ants in Hawaii. Do you guys have fire ants in Oahu?
No.
They drive me cuckoo balls. But
Yeah.
then I wonder if you fried them and ate them, if they'd be spicy. You know, chocolate-covered
think-
spicy ants.
I think ants are spicy.
We're in a
In
serious
general?
food tangent now. Holy cow.
Anybody has had chapulines here?
What is that?
I
Oh.
wanted to try it though.
The garlic chapulines from Oaxaca. It's
Yeah.
the crickets. It's delicious. They're so good.
I've heard
Are
it's
they crunchy?
really crunchy.
Oh yeah, they're just delicious.
Are they big or are they little?
They're about an inch. The biggest ones I've seen in the market in Oaxaca, about an inch long.
Oh. Do they have like a farm that make?
Oh, there's plenty of crickets.
Have you been to
find.
Oaxaca?
Oh yeah, yeah. Oaxaca's
Nice.
the heartbeat
really
of
wanna
Latin
go.
America. I love that
I
place.
love Oaxacan food from what I've had.
Oh wow, this sounds like a delicious grilled
tlacuillas.
cheese right now. Sorry, I got sidetracked. Michael, I think we got a good grilled cheese recipe for you to try.
I think we've joined the Food Network.
I think so.
It's like, good morning, everyone.
That's what
We're
happens when
here
it's
with our host,
10 minutes to
Hoku, on the
lunch.
Nautilus Live show for Food
There's somebody
Network.
else who wants a mosquito burger.
Ooh.
So the recipe for the grilled cheese is you need to grill the inside part of the bread first, then flip it, and then add smoked Gouda, Fontina, and provolone with a little butter. Once that melts, smother it with caramelized onions and arugula. Hello, I'm hungry. with some
What I've
chipotle
done is
mayo.
you butter both sides. Butter both sides on sourdough or rye.
Wow, I love rye.
You throw it onto the grill. You get both sides hot. Put your cheeses of choice.
Okay.
I usually go with like a Swiss cheddar, provolone,
Yum.
a mozzarella, maybe a Gouda if it's available.
Okay.
And then you put in some nuts, like some walnuts, and some
Really?
apple slices.
That sounds
Not.
delicious.
Oh yeah, that's where it's at.
Really?
No, you
Yeah.
gotta put the mayo on the outside, not butter.
See,
No,
I used to
I
do
don't do
mayo.
mayo.
We do a
Mayo's
mix.
better.
I do a mix.
Yeah, I mean,
The mayo and
like
butter.
if I'm gonna do mayo, it's like a thin sheer.
Yeah.
It's like It's like almost what's the point? That's how little mayo I had.
You gotta
I'm not a big
mayo
fan
on
of
the outside, and then cheddar and kimchi on the inside, and it's gotta be sourdough. That's how I do it.
Cool.
Kimchi.
Well, now you guys are just going crazy. This is all.
I should have brought some kimchi out here.
I know. I was hoping they'd have
dang,
it.
I would have liked some
I'm
kimchi.
happy with Wonder Bread and Cheese Whiz.
Is there
yeah.
like a food
Pressed
request
it out.
form? Like, this is what I want to eat, not see.
So we're making the menu right now for tonight's dinner. We're going to have some fried edible ants with some mosquito burgers, grilled cheese. Oh, the mosquito burrito.
That's what it says.
Yeah, otherwise
you're
they'll fly
right.
away.
Mosquito burrito with some maggoty butter on crusty loaf.
There's someone wrote in the chat that, yeah,
Mosquito
ants.
burrito is a no for me.
Like, does anybody eat spiders? Do people eat
Not on
spiders?
I've eaten a
purpose.
spider.
Not on purpose.
Not on purpose.
No, they say you
In your
eat a
sleep?
bunch.
I don't
yeah.
think that's true. I think that was completely made up.
It terrified me either way as a kid.
Yeah, you don't like spiders.
Nope. I have woken up with a spider on my pillow before, and yeah, that's not great.
true. We get a lot of spiders in Hawaii.
I like the spiders. They eat the nastier stuff.
As long as they're in the corner by themselves.
Yeah, just stay away from me.
Right, if they're doing
It
their
pays
job
rent.
and eating the bugs for me,
Like,
then I'm
it's fine.
happy.
I prefer that to waking up with a cockroach on me.
Yeah,
That's
that-
happened too many times.
Oh no.
It's like life in Hawaii.
Yeah,
You
exactly.
know, they just run over you
Yep.
like you're just nothing.
That and
Well,
like
that's great to
geckos,
know.
or not geckos, lizards.
Yeah, the mo'o. Yeah, the
Yeah.
geckos do
Yep.
it too.
They'll go
Yep.
in there. But they're cool.
Those guys are
'cause
cute at least. I love those. I love them all.
And their little nubby the
Yeah.
finger, when they grab onto you, it feels
All the ones in my
funny.
house don't have tails though. I have
Because
two
you get the
cats in my house.
kitties. Yeah.
You gotta be brave.
Yeah, I like lizards. I can get behind lizards.
I like the little chirps that geckos do at night.
Right. You guys don't
Yeah.
have koki frogs on
we do.
Oahu, huh?
Yeah,
oh,
we
you
do.
Oh, wow.
Not as many as you.
Yeah, my mom, when she's calling me from Oregon, she can hear the koki's resonating in the phone. Like, it reverbs back.
I always, when
Like,
I call
I'm
people, they're
sorry.
like, "Whoa, there's so many birds in the background," and I'm like, "Oh, I
Right.
didn't even notice. It's
Me
just
neither,
like white
yeah.
noise, you know?
It is.
You don't realize, except when a flock of parrots flies by, then you know. They're really loud."
Just a casual flock of parrots.
Casual flock of birds. Wow. Wow. People eat wasps. Well, ants have good protein.
Someone wrote in, the worst is waking up to half a cockroach on the pillow.
And that's true. Because they're
Little
big.
midnight snack.
Yeah. Oh, gosh. Right? With sleep eating. That's sleep eating.
Oh.
Right? Or if you have a wing on your mouth. Oh, gosh. Yeah, you just have to accept the cockroaches in
Yeah,
Hawaii.
if you live in the tropics, you kind of just, you can't be too afraid of bugs. They're just
All
part
right,
of life.
how about cheese? Let's talk about cheese again.
So we have a question, and every question is a good question. There's no stupid questions. Why does the ascent take so long? I know that the divers have to wait for decompression. Do you have to do that with the ROVs as well? You guys are awesome.
Yeah, fortunately we do not have to wait for any kind of decompression. But yeah, it takes long just because we can only bring the vehicles up so fast. We have to drive Hercules up. So currently we're doing about a little over 20 meters a minute, and that's just the limit of the system and how quickly that we're able to come up.
Okay.
Do like the hydrodynamics of everything, and the washes, the creates the drag.
Yep.
Yeah. And you were saying the ascent is a little bit longer than the descent?
Yeah, Herc drives down quite well, but doesn't come up quite as efficiently. So, which is another reason why we ditch a little bit of weight, help us come up a little faster.
So at a volunteer day camp this week for snack time, they made mini coral reefs with Cheetos, neon cheese whiz, goldfish, and pretzels. It was adorable, but the orange looked like a combo of traffic cones and nuclear byproducts.
That sounds like a fun
That
little
sounds
activity.
delicious.
I was just going to say, you had me at cheese whiz.
And goldfish.
Cheetos and cheese whiz. I'm like, dang.
I could go for some hot Cheetos though.
And then I don't believe we have any living creatures on the ship aside from people that we care for?
Oh, I wish.
I saw a fruit fly.
I did too.
How'd that come out
Yeah,
here?
I did. I have seen a couple
Yeah.
of flies, but that's about it.
That's when I put
We've
my
s-
point
well,
in
we
the
have some
refrigerator.
boobies
We
that
got
like to sit
birds.
on the bow.
Oh, that's
I
true.
was just going to say we do have the birds. And that was a question actually that somebody posed earlier is, have there been any dead birds or bird skeletons found at these depths?
Oh, that's a good question. I mean,
No.
I've not seen any, but I don't know.
We'd probably get scavenged pretty fast
Yeah. I
if it
would
did
think,
make it all the way
huh?
down because they're pretty small. So
Right? It'd be good food, I would imagine, coming down the water column.
Yeah, they
Cool.
taste like chicken.
But pretty much anything that makes it down to the seafloor will get eaten. There's been some experiments done with alligators off of Louisiana,
Whoa, really?
and they something actually drug it away, and it was a big alligator, and I don't know that they ever figured out what that was.
Okay, cool. Because I was like,
Probably
wait,
a
they put
shark?
the alligator in and then...
The alligator was dead,
Okay, thank you.
but there got a bunch of those giant isopods that started
Huh?
eating it,
Wow.
and then something like a shark, like it had weights attached to it,
something
something
with
very
the-
powerful, was moving it
Wow.
around. This was at like, I want to say like 1,000 meters.
What?
Oh, it was fine the
I
I
whole
feel like I've heard
time,
about this,
just
but I
like
didn't know
Yeah.
that
bottoms
it got
a bit, and
dragged.
then
That
all of
was
a sudden,
Craig McLean who did that.
now it's, yeah, it's
That's a
taken,
fun
They were kind of
experiment.
just trying to see if like
taking a few
any sort of
measurements.
animal would get eaten, and yep,
I don't know,
Oh yeah, I bet they had a field day.
yeah, there's really cool images.
taking a long time to think about it, but it's getting,
Wow, so this marine snow has been pretty
Roger.
consistent still.
yeah. I don't know, it seemed to clear itself. We checked it at the 2100, 2170, it was fine now. I don't know.
I'm gonna bring my own headset next time. These ones hurt.
Yeah, they do kind of get you
How about
after a
these
while.
ones? They're a little tight. Kind of takes a little bit of like breaking in, but pretty good.
Aloha. Me. I'll leave that question for the next. Aloha, everyone. All right, so you're muted. The You're Muted watch is officially over. We're going to transition it over to the Sea Pickles now. Enjoy the show. Continue to talk about cheese, bugs, and every fun fried critter you guys want to eat while you're in the deep sea. We're going to make a menu. Yeah. Mahalo nui, malama pono, ahui ho.
No, I'm set. Yeah.
Hello everybody at home. We got the Sea Pickles here, taking over the watch. And we got an exciting blue watch with marine snow. Starting this watch like we did the last one.
There's a mission afoot actually to look at what is in this marine snow.
Oh.
We fired all the last remaining Niskin bottles on the bottom. And we're going to see just how much water we can filter out of them and then look at the filters under one of the microscope and see if we can see anything.
Cool. Could you slope as you go ascend, just vacuum your way up?
We'd really be the merry maids of the sea then, wouldn't we?
Just clean up this nasty.
Of the Niskin samples we've been taking before, have you been putting them under the microscope?
No, that's usually we just take the filters and put them straight into the DNA preservation buffer. But just getting everything concentrated down onto a filter would help us look at what is in this water.
Are you expecting to see some diatoms?
More likely to be things like foraminifera out here.
Raj. Because are diatoms sediment stuff?
Diatoms are usually found in cold waters because they make their shells out of silicate.
Oh, okay.
So it's more energy intensive than foraminifera that make it out of calcium carbonate.
Okay.
So you find those in high latitudes typically. Not exclusively. You can find diatoms everywhere, but they're more concentrated there.
What does a foraminifera look like under a microscope?
They have these really elaborate calcium tests.
Shells.
Shells, yeah.
Yeah. Got it.
So similar in some ways to diatoms, but usually much more frilly and like spiky.
Okay.
Some of the classic Ernst Haeckel drawings are of foraminifera.
Yes, I know that. What's that guy's name again? He has a book. I forget the name of the book. My friend referenced it to me. Can you give me that name again?
Ernst Haeckel?
Yes, thank you.
With a very, very German spelling with some extra E's in there.
Foraminiferas are one of the key, what we call index fossils for the last, say, 55, 65 million years, because their shells are so distinct that you can use them there's certain shell structures that will appear during brief periods of time and then disappear. And so you can use it to try to locate where you are in time, in sediment cores from the marine realm.
I know that diatoms look like a barrel under a microscope.
Yeah, they come in a variety of shapes, but yeah, they can be barrels, kind of little glass stars and circles. Quite beautiful.
That book is it's sort of like a coffee table style book, but like the Art and Science of Ernest Haeckel and Art Forms in Nature are two of them. Like real blown out versions of like visual images of different creatures like that.
I prefer my books with images. Words make me sleepy. So hard, so big. Books.
Says the professor.
Weather is winding at 25.
Yeah, Raj.
Yeah, another extremely cool example of, I guess you could call it scientific illustration, are the Blauschka glass models of marine invertebrates.
Ooh.
Yeah, these were a pair of, I think they were brothers in Germany in the maybe early 1800s, and I could be wrong about the date here, but because most of the stuff that was collected from the ocean was either pickled or just sort of lost, they built they did these incredible blown glass models of lots of different invertebrates.
Back in the day, for a geology degree, most universities made you take art classes, so you can actually illustrate, you know, what you see, the outcrops and the structures. And I think that's a lost to art. That's kind of sad.
Yeah, we had that in my undergrad. We had like an art teacher come to our sedimentology or our sedstrat class and teach us like how to draw things that we're looking at. And it's really helpful because you don't like pick up a lot of details of a rock until you like really study it and draw it. So that was pretty cool. I'm still a bad drawer, but you know, I got better, so that's all that matters.
Yeah, drawing a strat section, you really, first of all, you start seeing it in more detail, and then you can actually start annotating it as you draw it, and it's really much more valuable than just taking a picture.
Yeah.
Or even taking a picture and drawing on it using, you know, an iPad or your phone, in my opinion.
Then you also feel cool. Like, I'm in the field on this expedition. I'm going to sit down and just draw.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know.
You feel like a naturalist from the 1800s.
Me too.
Let's say a lot of the early coral descriptions were done with hand-drawn drawings of sclerites. And I have to say, you have a wide variety of artists. And some of those drawings are more informative than others.
Yeah.
And it's probably good for all of us that scanning electron microscopy is now a thing.
Yeah, it's usually the journals with really good artists are the ones that stand the test of time. But then, yeah, I assume if you're actually digging into the real science, you see some interpretations.
I'm on full. Yeah, I think we're good.
You also get some really old, like daguerreotype photos of specimens that are of mixed use.
I gotcha.
Here's a hazy black line on a white paper. And that is a unique coral.
That's literally how it goes, though. It's not even...
Yeah.
Hey everybody, can we do introductions so I can get the audio levels sorted out?
Certainly. We got Anya back in the studio. We can start.
Yay. Hey Anya.
Hello, welcome back.
Hi. I am Anya, your Science Communication Fellow. Yeah, tuning into your questions as we are recovering our ROVs after a probably our shortest dive, maybe? Yeah, we were just kind of, this was a ridge that we were looking at underwater in nearby Johnston Atoll. So yeah, tune in and we'll be starting another dive, I think this evening or possibly tomorrow morning. I'm not quite sure yet.
I think it's 8 p.m.
Yeah, this evening.
Yeah.
That's what the board says, so that might be a lie, but.
Yeah. So happy to be here, and I'll pass it to Kevin.
Hi there, Kevin Conrad. I'm a scientist on board. I'm a geologist from the University of Nevada, Las Vegas, specializing in geochronology, geochemistry, determining the origin of seamounts. Yeah, just follow up. We're pulling up right now from this interesting volcanic, or well, most likely tectonic ridge. We got some cool rock samples and a few bio samples. And then we're going to do a short transit to the south, and we're going to be back on a geo. A little shallower, to get some more life on the geo. But yeah, happy to be with you all tonight.
This is Meredith Everett, sitting in the secondary science chair. I'm a geneticist at NOAA's Northwest Fisheries Science Center, where I work with NOAA's Deep Sea Coral Research and Technology Program, where I use genetic tools to look at the taxonomy, connectivity, and overall like biogeography patterns using environmental DNA of deep sea coral and their associated communities.
Hey everyone, my name is Chanel Vidal. I'm a PhD student at Arizona State University. I'm a geologist turned biologist, and I'm sitting here as an ocean science intern and data logger, recording all the cool and beautiful corals and rocks that we see. If any of y'all have any questions about grad school and choosing a school and changing fields, definitely write in and ask. I would love to answer them.
Hey, I'm Chris Wisnowski. I'm here as a navigator and also running the high-res mapping system on Herc. Other than that, I am a postdoctoral researcher at the University of Rhode Island.
Curious how those maps came out, by the way, last night. Did anyone else do any more mapping?
No.
Roger. Hi, folks. My name is Jess Sandoval. Sitting between Kylie and Chris, and Herc pilot for this watch. Also, apparently a mapping enthusiast. Last night was pretty cool. If you guys looking forward to those Norbit maps.
Mm-hmm. Hi, I'm Kylie. I'm a human being sitting in the Argus chair, piloting Atalanta. I am a newfound paleomagnetism fan. And if you've got comments about Earth's crust, magnets, magma, moving things, let me know. Holla at your girl.
Moving things.
And to Kylie's, excuse me, to Kylie's left, my name's Tim. I'm sitting in the video engineering seat, managing the video feeds here that everybody's looking at, as well as the recording of all the video data we're collecting. I am originally from Friday Harbor, Washington. Not originally, I'm currently from Friday Harbor, Washington. I'm originally from Baltimore, Maryland. Fun facts. Thanks, guys. Look like I got everybody.
Thank you.
Me?
So, ROV team, I'm dying to know, how did Herc and Atalanta, how did they handle the pressure? That was a really deep dive.
Good. I mean, there's no electrical signal saying anything negative happened currently.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, light stayed on.
Yeah.
No leaks.
If we had a problem, I think we would have seen it. We'd be seeing it now, as a matter of fact.
I just turned on that DVL. That's our only one.
But yeah, everything, all our comps, we like comped all of our, how to say, we comped all our comps. How do I say that correctly?
We comped all of our Oh, sorry. I wanted to get the high voltage cabinet. Yeah, we filled all
Filled
our
all,
comps.
yeah, we filled all our comps. So to like the higher end of what we generally dive them at, so that the pressure would be compensated for.
So a comp is a pressure compensator?
Yes, a pressure compensator. Yeah. So we'll, like whether it has mineral oil in it or royal purple, depending on what system is being compensated. We topped all those off before we dove, and that way, regardless of how much pressure they withstood, they'd have enough backup there to keep them from damage.
Cool. So it worked.
Yeah. Then when that happens.
Tammy, mind if we get back that winch cam on the Mon 1 there?
We hit a salvo.
Yeah.
Salvo change.
That was alt winch?
Winch alt on Mon 1, please.
Alt on Mon 1, so gotcha.
Kyle, you want to hear a fun paleomag fact?
Yeah.
So you see this marine snow?
Yeah.
As it settles on the bottom in regions where it doesn't dissolve, it will eventually lock into position relative to the magnetic field, and you can actually pick up a remnant paleomagnetic signal from sediment cores.
Wow.
What?
Yeah, small bits of iron and stuff in it will help weakly magnetize it towards and it will start to orientate itself towards the North Pole or the South Pole.
That
and you can
is
measure
so
it.
crazy.
Yeah. So that's one of the ways we use age models with sediment cores, is looking at paleomagnet variations through the core, and then we can match it up to our records and get ages on when reversals occur, and build us a time series.
You think there's like a digestible sort of like, I don't want to say paper, like how could I learn more about it from somebody that doesn't have the vocabulary?
Yeah, that's a great question, and I'll look that up. I'm sure I can find something.
Another thing you can use these shells for is tracking paleoclimate data.
Yeah, so when they form, they record the hydrogen and oxygen isotopic compositions of the ocean at the time, and they trap it in.
Ooh.
And then we can look at that variation. Very valuable stuff. Almost as valuable as a basalt.
So we have a question for Chanel from Bella. I am a freshman and I'm starting to think of a career in some flavor of ocean sciences. What kind of classes and college paths did you take to end up where you are?
Ooh, that's a good one. Let's see. I had a similar thing when I was in my undergraduate degree. I was also wanting to go into oceanography, and my school had like one oceanography class and a paleontology class, or paleoclimatology class. So it didn't fit in my schedule, but those were available. I just looked at anything in my school that I could take. But then more importantly, I sought out experiences like this and an experience called STEMCs as well, which you can also apply for. It's a great program. And those things, made like an ocean science degree is not required for these internships, and they open a lot of doors, and then you meet a lot of people and you learn a lot during these experiences. So yeah, I would encourage you to look at your school and see what classes might be available that are ocean science related or adjacent, and seek out experiences like this. And then honestly, if there's a professor that you see who's doing cool research, just email them, even if they're not at your institution. Most professors, like the ones here, are so awesome and like really want to help you learn, and I'm sure they would be more than happy to like set up a Zoom call with you and talk about your interest in ocean science further. I cold emailed a ton of people when I was trying to figure out what to study. Everyone received it really nicely, and it was super helpful, so I would definitely encourage doing that.
Cool, thanks. We also have another question about the ROVs. So are the ROVs ascending, or is Nautilus reeling it in, or is it a combination of both? Oh wait, you're not on.
Sorry. My sorries weren't on a scale for a second there either. So I just had to make sure I got it. Blanket apology. Sorry. The answer is both, where Hercules is ascending using its vertical thrusters, and Atalanta is being reeled in by me using the winch.
Kylie, I was thinking about your question about what are sort of accessible resources for kind of understanding really technical concepts of, and there are, I'm sure we got just an oceanography textbook on board.
Ooh.
I know, like analog, right? Somewhere.
But it smells good.
But also there are I think a number of different podcasts out there that kind of dive into this stuff. Anybody got any favorite podcasts?
For kind of sciencey interviews, Ologies with Allie Ward.
Ooh, I have heard of that one. I always forget. I'm going to add it to the list.
The volcanology podcast, which is one of the very first ones they did, was very, very good. And I just finished listening to last week while I was on the ship running on the treadmill, the astrophysics one on interviewing Katie Mack.
It's a lot about the language, isn't it? Like being able to, I find podcasts a little bit, if it's a new subject, difficult to digest. Similar to, not for nothing, like sometimes what we were saying in the van, sometimes the words I'm searching for like kind of meaning and context, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, because everything's so like so specific to that field. But once you do like learn that language, it's really cool to be able to participate in the broader conversation.
Yeah, that's why people like Tim are so valuable in the sciences, because essentially I'm so insulated in what I do that, and especially since my wife is also a geologist, we'll just have long conversations and not realize we're essentially speaking a different language to other people, and you forget about it after a short period of time being in that field.
There are some great geology books that are a little more paleontology focused that have been written for lay people in the last 10 years. I tend to read those for fun, actually, and I can look up a couple titles. I know one of the ones I recently read is a little more dense for the lay person, but it's called When Life Nearly Died, and it does a deep dive into the Permian extinction event, and I'm looking up another couple titles.
Thank you.
If you want a really good book on evolution,
yes.
Bully for Brontosaurus by Stephen Gould is an excellent book. Really explains both the science and the randomness of evolution, and with great analogs and analogies.
I'll slow down. I love evolution.
Yeah, it's fun.
I'm reading a book called Tides by Jonathan White.
Tides?
Yeah.
What's it about?
It's about the
Basalt.
Don't say it.
So it gets into the physical oceanography of how tides work, but also gets into the story of how people came to understand tides. In fact, I did not know this, but in the 1,000 pages of Isaac Newton's huge work, the Principia Mathematica, there's actually 3 pages on tides, where in Latin, evidently, he explains tides mathematically.
I like that. Tides. Tides by who?
I believe it's Jonathan White.
Excellent.
Say another couple geology-focused books. One that's, despite its sensational title, is actually really, really informative about the geology of earthquakes and subduction zones is Full Rip 9, which is all about the Cascadia margin. And then for a deep dive into paleontology and the various theories on the KT boundary, it would be The Rise and Fall of the Dinosaurs.
Rise and Fall of the Dinosaurs. Thank you.
This is less ocean science related, but I've been listening to a podcast called Houston, We Have a Podcast.
Oh,
and
cool
it's
name.
so awesome. Yeah, this person I think is works at NASA Johnson and interviews all these space explorers and astronauts and everything, and then they go back to what got them in that field initially, and it's just really inspiring to see all the paths that people can take to get to somewhere like ocean exploration or space exploration. There's not one clear-cut way, so I find that podcast really inspiring.
And the intersection of ocean technology and space exploration is gives me the tingles.
Right, me too. Oh yeah. Is that better? Cool, thanks.
Ocean worlds. Do you guys see the highlight from one of the other watches of the red ctenophore?
No.
So gorgeous.
Was it from this last dive or the previous one?
Previous one.
Oh, yeah, I did see that one. That was awesome. It looked like Spider-Man.
Oh my God, I know, it's like a Ferrari. Not because it was fast, just because it was red and hot. Sorry.
Oh my gosh.
What?
Oh, sorry. I forgot it was. I Googled red ctenophore, and then I just got a bunch of people in red dresses. There's not a single sea animal.
You need a C in that team.
Yeah, because a ctenophore is an article of clothing.
Oh, of course. Duh. How did I not know?
A pinafore, yeah.
You got a C and you got a P and H.
Okay. Wow, that one C changed everything. Silly me. Didn't know there was a C there.
I know. It's hooked on phonics for me. I totally get it.
Blame the Greeks.
Yeah, when people come up with terms, how do they decide whether or not to go with the Greek route or the Latin route? It seems sort of random.
Rocks, paper, scissors.
The ancient Greek or...
I think there is actually a standard for that, and I can't for the life of me remember what it is. But back at home, I have my bioscientific vocabulary textbook, and I think it actually is covered in there.
Just as long as there's some sort of naming convention.
So right now, if you're tuning in with us, we are recovering our ROVs after exploring an, enigmatic, correct?
Yeah.
Enigmatic. What does that mean?
It's a fancy way of saying we don't know.
An enigmatic ridge, a ridge we don't know in the Central Pacific. Learn more about our expedition on nautiluslive.org. There's a blog there. And yeah, we'll be having another dive later this evening around 8 p.m. So to answer that question, yeah, we are ascending. Someone's also wondering if we've watched Prehistoric Planet. I have not. Has anyone?
I have. Turns out that paleontology and geology are like my hobbies as opposed to my job.
We're going to do it with Chanel.
Yeah.
We're going to get her into geology. But no, I mostly watch just biology nature documentaries.
Have any of y'all seen Chasing Coral?
Oh, yeah.
No, I don't think I have.
Oh my gosh.
I'll put it on my list.
It's, if you're already feeling a little sad, then I would not recommend watching it.
Never mind. I'm a little sad at all times, so I don't need
okay.
need to watch something about corals dying or anything like that.
Well, sorry to hear that.
So Kevin, speaking about our mysterious ridge, from what you saw last night, what do you think?
I don't know if it is uplifted oceanic crust. It might be a really anomalously steep volcanic ridge. So I was hoping to see what's called sheeted dikes, which will be like kind of upward facing intrusive flows. So you'll see kind of almost look like columnar joints, but it will be different, thicker, without the same kind of structure, but still same like upward joints. And then that evolve into kind of pillow basalts. That's kind of the traditional model of the upper oceanic crust. In this case, it was basically just thick volcanic rocks and volcanic debris all the way up to the top and above. There's no sediments. There's really nothing in the area, so I'm not quite sure if it is. I think that's probably switched it from tectonic ridge to ignimatic ridge at this stage. And then we'll see if we can devolve it further to geologic feature. Yeah, so it's going to be really interesting. We're going to date the rocks that we obtained and see if it's actually how old it is, if it's crustal age or if it's much younger. If it's much younger, then it's probably a volcanic ridge. And I have an undergrad who's going to work on them. And to follow up with what Chanel was saying, she just kind of asked, can I do work in this kind of stuff? And now she's getting some rocks her way. But yeah, I don't know. I'm guessing it might be a younger volcanic ridge. We'll see. It's exciting. It's definitely nothing we'll figure out until we get it back to the lab.
Cool. Okay. So the sea floor in the area would be, a certain age.
Yeah, but I expect it around 120. If this is like 70 million or 100 million or something, then yeah, we'll figure it's something different. And then we can do some chemistry as well to see if it looks like oceanic crust. The chemistry in basalts between like an oceanic crust and a seamount are actually very different and distinct. So we can separate those kind of different mantle sources out through the chemistry of the rocks. We also need a name for the ridge. So we should come up with a name and just force it into the manuscript, if anyone's got any good suggestions.
That'd be a good one for Hoku.
Yeah.
I know that she works a lot with working groups that use indigenous naming conventions to come up with names for major features and that are part of the seascape here.
Cool.
Sea Pickle Ridge.
I like sea pickle ridge. Or just the sea pickle, since it's very elongated.
Mount Pickle.
What jumps out at you about any of its features?
The thinness of it, the linearity. It has these super, very, very steep slopes on either side. That's if it's volcanic and not a fault. It still might just be uplifted oceanic crust. It's still my leading idea. It just wasn't exactly what I expected it to look like. I also haven't seen the dive footage from the last 4 hours, so.
That's all the fun.
Yeah, exactly. So we'll review it when we get back.
Little jelly right there. Yeah, when we got down to the bottom on our watch last night, I was really surprised at how steep it even looked in the Herc view.
Yeah.
Which typically sort of flattens things out. So it was kind of it was the sort of place where I was like, wow, I don't think I could want to try to climb that. That's really steep.
Yeah, that would be real exhausting, especially if it's a loose rock climbing that steep. And you can see also when one of the rocks we first tried to grab, kind of bumped it, and it just went way off screen. You can see how steep it is that it would just tumble downhill. We haven't seen that in any other spot. And then as Meredith pointed out last night, there's a bubble cam right beneath Herc that I don't think you can see on any of the live feeds, but when we're looking at it, you can kind of just see how steep it is right below the ROV. So it's kind of an optical illusion how flat it sometimes looks in the main camera.
I think I've got a method for us to try to look at some of this marine snow if we get any of it in the Niskid bottles. We'll filter a little sample for eDNA first and then just run the filter and super concentrate everything and then use the filtered seawater to wash that into a Petri dish and get it under the microscope.
Cool, fun. Too bad we didn't suck up any of those big slime deposits. That would have been fun.
Well, we haven't emptied those slurp jars yet. We might have gotten some,
yeah.
Particularly when we were getting that little sea star.
Try it out, Kylie. I just bumped you up a little bit. Hey Chris, have you had a chance to check out your maps from yesterday? Her Croc Res computer?
You're not on SBO, Chris, just by the way.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I just put it up on the sat feed, channel 3. So this is for people watching online. This is well, I'll let Chris tell you about it. What are we looking at, Chris?
Yeah, so this is some of the real-time maps that we did last night. So you can see these sort of two big circles. These are where we sort of were up above the ground and rotated around so we could scan the area with the Norbit. The first one we did just to kind of get an idea of what the landing site would look like before we saw the bottom. So we could position Argus and make sure we weren't landing on cliffs and things like that. So we did that, and then we went up and tried another one at a slightly lower altitude, so I had some data to look at and see how that type of spinny roundy survey works instead of a, you know, the normal go straight and mow the lawn type survey. But
radial survey.
The radial survey. From what I'm seeing so far, it kind of worked. Mow the lawn surveys, as expected, look much better. But yeah.
I guess if you cut your grass in a like from a
yeah, no, you don't.
origin.
You don't just you don't just like spin the lawnmower around in the center. And there's a reason you don't do that. But it does. Yeah, it is much quicker to make maps this way. But so if you just need an idea of what's around, that's a good way, I guess. But if you want to like make something pretty for a publication, probably not.
I appreciate the naming. Did you say spinny turny?
Yeah, that'll work. Whatever. I think the exact term I used was spinny roundy.
Oh, of course, yes.
Yeah. There's a strong difference between spinny turny and spinny roundy.
Yeah, that's correct.
Messing up all the spellings and sayings this morning.
Yeah. And spinny, of course, has a C in it.
Yeah. I won't tell you where.
Gosh.
Good luck Googling it.
Sometimes science has its secrets.
You can really see that, I guess, gully that we were.
Yeah.
moving through last night.
Hey.
Yeah, so you were asking
Oh,
about
like
this, this like tear in the center of the map.
Yeah.
One of the problems with, I pulled it into our post-processing software, and one of the issues of doing what we did there was we are too high for a DVL lock, so our XY position is not nearly as precise when we're at that altitude. And what happened as we rotated, like our nav, the error in our nav like drifted around, and like, so as we rotated around and then rotated back to our start point, the vehicle was like in a slightly different position, even though the vehicle didn't actually move, or the vehicle appeared to be in a slightly different position even though it didn't actually move. And that's because we were using a less precise navigation solution. If we were in shallower water, it probably would have worked better. But this deep water, this deep, the USBL can be off by 5, 6, 5, 8, 10 meters. So that's enough to make a mess of things. But if you're low and you have DVL lock, you can sort of average the short-term errors out and
what?
Get a more precise.
I have 10% battery.
Get a more precise solution, which is one of the reasons why we did 2 surveys.
So I know we're scientists, so we're always throwing around a lot of acronyms. Can you let people at home know what the difference between a USBL and a DBL is?
Yes. So they stand for ultra short baseline and Doppler velocity log. Also, ultra short baseline, that doesn't super matter what it means. All it means is that, like, that doesn't really give you any much hint into what it actually does. But it is a type of acoustic sensor that can basically detect a range and angle to a target underwater. So it basically points at Herc and tells you how far Herc is from the ship. And that's the one that is not so precise. DVL means Doppler velocity log, which is a slightly more informative name, in that it uses it has 4 acoustic beams, 2 forward and 2 side to side, and it measures the Doppler shift between 2 opposing beams to measure the vehicle's velocity over the ground. So it in itself is not actually a position sensor. It is only a velocity sensor. So but for anybody that's done a little bit of physics, like, you know that when you integrate velocity, you can get position, right? Yep. But once you do that integration, you need the constant, right, to figure out like where you started, and that's kind of what the USBL provides, right? It keeps track of, it sort of sets your global position, and it a little more coarsely, but you can continuously kind of update your global position. You just sort of nudge it into position as the errors build up over your integration.
By integration, you mean that the area under a velocity time graph is position?
Yeah, so the navigational term would be dead reckoning.
Okay.
Right? So all you're doing is saying, I went this far, or I went this fast in this direction for that amount of time, and you're adding that up, right? But since we're doing it with the computers, we can do that, 60 times a second. So you just make these little, you just do these little vector calculations. Like I went north for 2 centimeters over that time interval, and you just add all of those up.
Dead reckoning is a really cool name for what is essentially a lot of integration.
Yeah. Are you saying integration isn't cool, or?
No, I'm saying it's appropriate.
Oh, okay. All right. I thought we might need to have a fight here.
No. I'm more of a linear algebra guy, less for calculus.
Okay. Yeah, it's a position I can respect, but will never understand. So.
math debates.
And that's what divided our watch.
Yeah.
And now I'm turning off Chris's mic, and I'm done with that.
Hey, Team Bio is all bays.
Oh no. Yeah, you learn with all these math things that you can't get away with just one of them. You have to know at least a little bit about a lot of them in order to make complete systems.
Yeah. So for the real-time kind of data processing and updating you have with your Norbit, did you make that program or just edit on it? Or
It's a complicated question.
Yeah.
So I developed the navigation solution. I developed the driver to run the Norbit. I developed the processing pipeline. Basically all the back end stuff I developed or used open source libraries.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean anything with software development, you don't write anything from scratch, right?
Yeah,
So
yes.
you build on other libraries. The actual visualizer is a part of robot operating system ROS, and I just made plugins and configurations and software to like drive the existing visualization.
Yeah, it's super impressive.
Yeah, So sort of robotic systems, the software development for robotics ends up being more of like a system integration sort of thing, right? So you have a bunch of parts. Some of them are already made. Some of them you need to write. Some of them you need to. So I guess the easy answer is I developed the systems and many of the components, but not all of the components.
Yeah. Well, getting two separate components to talk can be a massive challenge.
Yeah, and that's one of the things that, for anybody looking to get into robotics, that's one of the things that ROS does very well, and I recommend that to a lot of new people looking to explore that and whatever. So ROS has a nice community and provides an interface for multiple processes to talk to each other, and there's a lot of things already out there for all kinds of sensors and things that you can just download, and they publish ROS messages which are reasonably standardized, and you can avoid a lot of that overhead with the inter-process communication stuff. So
cool. And for the young students at home looking to get into science and engineering, never neglect math. Math is the basis of all of it.
Yeah, as I was sort of learning how all of this video equipment works, because, you know, I'm pretty new to this game, I was thinking back to my training in just algebra and how algebra helps you sort of think about different pathways to solving the same question. And as I'm looking at different sources and different inputs and destinations for videos, I'm looking at, I don't know, 50, 60 buttons in front of me, more submenus. Just thinking like, wow, algebra, or at least algebraic thinking.
yeah. And one thing that I find too about math in terms of learning math is, for me, learning math through some sort of lens, whether that be physics or computer science or engineering, was a lot more motivating than just learning raw math, I guess.
Math for math's sake versus math with the application.
I mean, I do appreciate maths for math's sake, but like, at least in certain topics, like in geometry and calculus and that sort of thing, like that I kind of just enjoy learning about. But in terms of like linear algebra and things like that didn't really come together for me until I started using it for projects and starting to see how it can be useful as a tool. And at that point, it became a lot more interesting, and I felt like I had a much deeper understanding. So if you can find a way to connect it to what you are more passionate about, the math itself can be much more interesting.
Yeah, I took in college 3 levels of calculus, and then I'm like, well, that's done. That was boring. And then I took calculus-based physics, and then it's like, oh, okay, so these tools actually, I can explain the whole world using them.
Right.
Why didn't anyone tell me that in the last 3 classes?
Yeah, correct.
I had the same experience, and I also did not have any appreciation for math at all. Before I applied it, my math classes were really challenging for me, and I usually didn't do too well in them. But then I also took calc-based physics, and that was an awesome class. And then I also worked in a structural geology lab, which is like all geophysics research. And then now I like math, so if you're sitting at home and listening to this and you're like, I have hated every math class I've ever taken and it makes me feel upset, me too, and you can still come out here, and it gets better.
Yeah.
I agree. I failed math in elementary school like 5 years in a row.
Yeah.
And it never clicked for me until I hit college. I struggled in high school. Then I had to take college algebra or something, like my first semester. And I had a great professor who just put everything in terms of gambling and gambling statistics. And I'm not into gambling, but it just helped so much. And then math just clicked. And suddenly I went from being like an F student to a C student. Then all of a sudden I became an A student in college, which was weird.
Yeah.
It can happen.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was going to say, having interesting problems to solve makes it like way more entertaining. When I took chemical oceanography, one of our final exam questions I still remember, we had to calculate the flux of carbon dioxide across the surface layer of a can of Coke opened on Mars.
Oh my gosh.
That's cool.
I can get behind that science.
Yeah. Sometimes it's timing too, right? Like how you were saying, like you weren't in like your primary education, math wasn't working for you, and then in college it was. I took a break in between high school and college, and when I went back, I failed my math placement test, so I had to start with math 001, fractions and decimals, and then pre-calc and trig and college algebra. So I took 4 semesters of math before I was taking classes that I needed for my degree. And then I, climbed the mountain, all the calcs and differential equations, and I ended up being a tutor because once you get like the pattern recognition, you're like, oh, you want to share that with other people, especially if you've struggled with it, right? You're like, no, it's gonna click. Eventually, it's gonna click, and sometimes it's just timing and like where you're at, where your brain's at, and who teaches it. So just keep trying because you definitely have the possibility to understand it, maybe even more than your past experience would lead you to believe.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Yeah, math didn't click for me for a long time. I did well in like history and stuff. It's just math was always, I don't know, didn't have the focus for it. Or maybe it was the passion.
Yeah, I had that too. I did really well in English classes and like creative writing and stuff like that, but both chemistry and math were like, they made me feel really upset. Like I felt discouraged about going into STEM, and now I'm doing like an organic chemistry project and did geophysics research, so you have the brain to do it, I promise.
Yeah.
I think that the way that we teach it too is really important, and not just in the making it applicable. I think with my own students, I encourage them to try to find their own meaning in what it is that we're doing. Find something that makes it interesting, because it.
Oh yeah, I'm sure I would have went straight into STEM if I had a TIM teacher, as opposed to some Catholic nuns who did not like me.
But I think my issue when because I wasn't great at math either until I started. I got a lot more comfortable with it once I started to teach it in algebra classes or physics classes. But I think it's like you really we break our school days typically up into 6 different periods, and, you know, your brain's really working pretty hard on math one period, and the next period it's like, all right, let's talk about the Renaissance.
Yeah.
And there's often not a lot of connection between those, so you just sort of shift gears, and then it's on to Spanish class or something an hour later. So I don't know, there aren't too many jobs out there that require you to shift gears, switch directions that many times in a day. So anyway, I think that's why it was hard for me. I couldn't like get into it before I had to start working on something else.
I had a professor that said I was really struggling in his class. It was like physics, and I've always really found physics very intimidating. And he said something that I just want to share with other people because I wouldn't have looked at it that way. He said, you're struggling with it because you'd probably be really good at it. Like, you want to know more, and the way that it's taught is sort of like with building blocks that sort of limit your understanding. Like when you're doing like the initial like physics classes, because physics is so complicated, they make it a digestible version. So like air resistance is negligible, right?
Right.
And so they intentionally limit how broad it all is initially. And it felt like there was more there that I wanted to understand. And he's like, it's like sort of something about patience and pacing yourself with the way that it's structured to be taught that I think kind of like made it feel like it was a lot more like very difficult and unnatural for me. And he was like, you'd probably make a good physicist because you have these questions and you're not satisfied with these answers, you know? It's like, ah. So how do I pass this class though?
There is something to be said. That is, I totally get that too, but there is, but you do have to keep your nose to the grindstone and put in the groundwork and understand the fundamentals. But again, I think this kind of goes back to your point: is sometimes you lose the context.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I think the context can be very important. That's sort of one of the things that engineering, after